And I think I've pressed the right button this time. Hello, everybody, and a warm welcome. And it's telling me I've got a good connection, but I don't think there is an image appearing just yet. But maybe that's just my screen. Thank you very much for your patience. I had, don't you love it when you think you've pressed the button to go live and it says invalid parameters. And you think, what the heck is that? Anyway, here we are together. I want to wish you a very happy 2021, the start of a new year, a new month just begun. And January is one heck of a month. I've been studying it in quite some depth, and I'd like to share with you the kinds of energies that we're working with this month. And let's see how we can find ways together to use the astrological energies in a way that is empowering, in a way that is valuable, in a way that is useful and uplifting. So that's what I'm setting out to do here in this live stream with you. It's always a great pleasure to have you, my dear soul family, together. Thank you, Lucy, for being available at the drop of a hat. She is so wonderful, helping moderate. She's my assistant as well. And she kind of glues you all together here online. So January, how's it feeling so far? A lot of emotions in the air. And there's a significant shift as we move into January. So what changes? Well, the first considerable shift is that on January 6th, 7th, which is precisely when I think there are some very important elections happening in the United States, is when Mars moves out of Aries, where it's been for over 6 months. Very unusual. It usually stays in a sign for 7 weeks. And it moves into Taurus on January 6th, 7th. So it's going to be there until March the 16th. And Mars in Taurus has a very different flavor to Mars in Aries. Mars in Aries is very combative, is very action-oriented. It wants it straight away. Now, that's not to say that Mars in Taurus doesn't want things straight away, but Mars in Taurus is more strategic. It moves more slowly, but it's very, very determined. So whereas Mars in Aries might have 10 different fights that are going on, Mars in Taurus will narrow it down to one really important thing, one or two, and say, I really want to accomplish this. So I would suggest now, as we move into this Mars in Taurus energy in a couple of days, that you consider what is it that you really want to do. Mars is about doing an action. In Taurus, it's very physical and very practical. And it's very determined. So where are you absolutely bound and determined? You're going to make a success of something, you're going to launch something, you're going to share something. We're going to see very obstinate types of energies out there. For me, it's about now having launched the webinars, which I did, and thank you, so many of you joined me and joined afterwards and have got the recording as well of the webinar that I did. Of the overview of this next 10 years. And now with Mars moving into Taurus, I am bound and determined to create a library of webinars where I'm going to do a lot of beginners webinars, because that's what has been requested by many of you. So really going into your own chart so that you begin to understand it, not too superficially, but you can go deeper. So there will be all kinds of levels, and I'm bound and determined to deliver it. Mars in Taurus says, I'm going to deliver what I've been talking about. So what are you going to deliver? What are you going to show tangibly as Mars moves into Taurus? Now, on January the 8th, we've got Venus moving into Capricorn. So Mars in Taurus, earth sign, Venus in Capricorn, earth sign. Pluto is already in Capricorn. Jupiter and Saturn have just moved out of Capricorn. And on the 13th of this month, we've got a new moon in Capricorn. So we're not quite free of the Capricorn frequency. We've got to remember that certain structures are going to be important. And once again, what do you need to keep in your life that is functioning well? It's a bit like that sentence of, if it ain't broke, don't break it. So what do you need to keep? And what do you need to let go of? And this is really the question of this month of January. So breathing in the new air of Aquarius and breathing out any of the stale old Saturn energy that you just don't need anymore, that's gone. It's like a snake that shed its skin. So what do you need to shed that no longer serves you? That's really the question here. So the underlying theme of the year is the square between Saturn in Aquarius, the old and the new merging together, because Saturn is about the old, and in Aquarius it's about moving to the new solutions for old issues. That's, to me, the epitome of this symbolism of this Saturn in Aquarius energy. And the square that we've got going on with Uranus in Taurus. So Uranus, the new, and yet it's in Taurus, which is the status quo, the fixed. So there may be confusion as to what do we keep? What do we let go of? Do we rush into vaccinating almost 8 billion people? Is that a sensible thing to do? What are we rushing into that maybe we need to rethink? And where are we digging our heels in with old systems that we need to break free of? This is going to be the balance here. So new solutions for old issues, exactly. Yes, thank you. And the actual square, the exact square of Saturn and Uranus doesn't happen until February 17th. It's exact again on June the 14th and again on December 23rd. So these are like key boom energies astrologically as we go through the year with the Saturn-Uranus square exact. But all year it's the undertone of, am I moving too quickly? Thank you very much, RB, I appreciate that. And where am I moving too slowly? Where am I dragging my heels? And finding that balance, yeah? What decisions do you know that you need to make that you are putting off? And where are you maybe just moving too quickly? And I'm reminded of this brilliant quote, because this is so Mars in Taurus energy. And this is the square energy going on of Lao Tzu, who says, do you have the patience to wait until your mud settles and see the water is clear? Can you remain unmoving till the right action arises by itself? And I found that really pertinent with the Mars in Taurus energy and this square between Saturn and Uranus. And the fact that's most important here is that it is all this fixed energy. Thank you very much, Rach. Thank you. We've got so much fixed energy going on. Mars in Taurus, Jupiter in Aquarius, Saturn in Aquarius, Uranus in Taurus. So we've got this Taurus Aquarius energy going on. So where do you need to dig your heels in and say, no, the buck stops here? And where do you need to learn to be a little more flexible? Yeah, where must you maybe wait until the mud settles? So if you're not sure, and if you're confused, then rather wait until the mud settles and the water becomes clear for you. So I'm absolutely clear that I'm loving doing the webinars. We're getting great feedback about the webinars. So I'm really clear that this is my next stretch. Saturn-Uranus involves a stretch. Yes, it's a lot of preparation, a lot of work. Zoom is a beast to learn. And thanks to Lucy, we are learning it together. So there's a stretch into the unknown. But can you feel that this is the time for right action? That's the energy that you're working on. Drew, welcome. Thank you for joining. How exciting. Drew is also helping here today. Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you. And thank you for liking the video. You are being encouraged by both Lucy and Drew to please like the video so that more of our family can come here online with us and grow and flourish with these aspects. So another big aspect, January the 17th, is when Jupiter will square with Uranus. Jupiter in Aquarius, so Jupiter moves more quickly than Saturn. So Jupiter in Aquarius squaring with Uranus in Taurus. This is potentially a lot of new beginnings, a lot of new opportunities, new possibilities. I'm not saying that, you know, everything suddenly in the garden is green, but I think we're going to get some new ideas coming through. And you also may find yourself having a lot of inspirational downloads. And remember, these aspects often, they're always strongest when they are applying. So when you're building up, so a few days before, you may begin to feel these types of energies. On January the 20th, 20th to the 22nd, of course, inauguration time in the United States. This is exactly, you couldn't make this up really, when Mars and Uranus are conjunct in Taurus. Well, Mars and Uranus are perhaps the most, and Pluto and Saturn as well, but Mars and Uranus together is a very combustible energy. It's very, and in Taurus, it doesn't want to give way. So I think you may find that the polarity and the digging in of heels is going to be exceptionally strong, with some surprises happening around the inauguration. I think it begins on January the 6th, 7th, with Mars going into Taurus. And as we build towards the inauguration, I think there's going to be a lot of wild cards, a lot of unexpectedness, and a lot of things changing potentially. Metaphysical Mike, thank you. All right, so you're allowing a lot of emotions to come up. There may be a lot of emotions coming up. Rage, tears, grief, frustration. Mars-Uranus has a tendency to want to push out and blame others. So whatever's coming up for you, take responsibility and allow yourself just to experience it. It's not easy. I know it's not. I was having a treatment yesterday with somebody I didn't know very well, and it wasn't, shall we say, a very pleasant treatment. It was not a massage. I felt myself needing to cry. Yeah, there was just some tears that needed to come, and I felt I was resisting it. And then I thought, hey, you know what? Just don't resist it, let it happen. And it was okay. Uncomfortable, yes, but okay. So what can you, don't fight it. And there's a surrendering. Now, the great thing about Mars and Uranus together is there can be a breakthrough. There can be a breakthrough into something new, a breakthrough into something completely different than anybody would have expected. So it can be a very positive energy. It's just, remember that it's very, very volatile. So if you come up against authority, if you come up against something that's very fixed, thank you very much, Jackie, I appreciate that. If you come up against that, try to go around it rather than coming up right in its face, because chances are you're going to make it worse. See if you can find a way around it. The biggest thing about January is it's time to learn how to be patient. And again, another brilliant Lao Tzu quote that I feel is pertinent right now is the best fighter is never angry. And as always with Lao Tzu quotes, I have to let those percolate and settle in, because there's always more to it than I feel at the time. Another really, it's really ongoing this month. We've got Mercury going into Aquarius on the 8th of the month. So, and it's very significant, Mercury into Aquarius, joining the energy of Jupiter and Saturn, who went into Aquarius on December the 21st. We get this pull now with Mercury's going to be in Aquarius until March the 16th. Usually stays in a sign for 3 weeks, but it goes retrograde in Aquarius on the 30th of March until the 21st of February. So it gets a long period of Mercury in Aquarius. Now, Mercury in Aquarius is the problem solver. It's a brilliant place. If you've got Mercury in Aquarius, it's a great place to have it, because you're always wanting to come up with a new idea, new ways, new possibilities. This didn't work. Let's try that. Let's try something else. Let's see this from a new angle. Claire de Lune, yes, may this year bring healing to all of humanity. Yes, and this is a possibility of new ideas coming to you. Thank you, Amma, thank you. New ways of seeing your world. I'm certainly having that being here in New Zealand. Yes, it really is. Although I lived here before, it's different again. It's a big upheaval to go from Europe to Australasia. It's a very different frequency. So this Mercury in Aquarius, especially when it goes retrograde, gives us an opportunity here to reevaluate some of the new ideas, some of the new things that have come in. What do we need to reevaluate? Have we been precipitous? Have I been too quick? This Mercury in Aquarius, you reevaluate and refine some of these new energies so that when it goes direct again on February the 21st, you've got a new perspective and you can move forward with more confidence. But certainly Mercury in Aquarius from the 8th of this month, it's a great time for problem solving and finding answers to difficult things. So if you've had difficulties in a relationship, approach it in a quirky way. approach it differently. Change your behavior. Do something that would be unexpected for your partner or your family or people with whom you're in contact. So US politics are going to be obviously very prominent this month, and the aspects certainly show a great deal of volatility. The energy is more of the nature of a cardinal because of the Capricorn energies, and also the fixed energy with very little mutable. Only dear Neptune in Pisces is the mutable energy that we've got. So it's important to remember that you can rise above the energy. You can put yourself into a peaceful state. Neptune in Pisces is a very peaceful state. It's a very watery state. And do remember that water is an extremely strong element. It's very fluid. It's also extremely strong. So just know that in your vulnerability, you can find your strength. So I think we'll be seeing a lot of this energy, these frustration moments, and how are you going to deal with things that may not go in the way that you had expected. So good time to reduce expectations and to just learn when to fight and when to let go, when to speak out and when to be silent. So we're still in this cuspal energy in January of Capricorn and Aquarius. It's really strong. Capricorn, our corporations, our banks, our governments, the economy, Taurus, the economy, all of that, that's really going through a sea change. The cryptocurrencies, the reset, the digital, all of that is going through a lot of changes. And we've also got this opportunity to move into the new and the new possibilities and new groups and new communities and new humanitarian causes. And the Aquarian energy encourages us to be the best human that you can be. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you. Thank you. You enjoyed the webinar. Thank you. Appreciate that. So I'm going to be doing webinars and I'm speaking it loud, so I better do it now. It's going to be every Monday in New Zealand. I'm endeavoring to do that. Mondays in the morning, New Zealand time, which will be Sundays for most of the rest of the world, either the evening or in your daytime. So just to let you know that, there will be announcements and I'll do a little video, preview video about the beginners series, which I hope you'll join me on, because when you really learn the components of astrology and you really learn how they are applying in your life, you have an invaluable roadmap for yourself and for your relationships and for dealing with others and for our global community. So, I wanted to say something else. Yes, the most important thing as we move into this Aquarian energy, because that's what we're really moving into. And it's all the stuff that Ray Kurzweil talks about. Ray Kurzweil, I'll print it in so that some of you will know him, but he talks about singularity. He's been an amazing predictor of events for decades. He did predict that we'd have driverless cars by 2009, so he wasn't right about that in terms of the timing, but we're certainly going in that direction. But he's been right about a whole lot of other things. And his prediction is that we will move towards more singularity by 2030, which is the merging of the biological and the technological. It's already happening, guys. I don't think we can get away from it, but how can we use it in positive ways. And this is where this Mercury in Aquarius this month comes in, with communicating in our different groups, us together in our soul family, coming up with new ideas, coming up with different things. Yes, you will be able to access the webinars later. Absolutely. The recordings will be available for those of you that register. Yes, automatically. In the webinars, just to come back to that, to let you know, I will also be offering, for those of you who come first on board, I'll be doing certain individual charts as examples. So you will get an opportunity, and you also learn such a great deal by looking at other people's charts, sometimes celebrity charts. The chart of the Queen right now, the royal family in the UK, is very interesting. So there is much that we can learn from looking at famous people's charts and people from the past and what's happening. And it's very interesting. I don't know if you heard me on previous videos that I spoke about a couple of years ago, actually. I said that Jeff Bezos of Amazon, very interesting because his natal sun is at 22 degrees of Capricorn. And 22 degrees of Capricorn was where we had the Pluto-Saturn reset and all those aspects. So it was always destined to be a very powerful time for him. And now, of course, look at what's happened in retrospect. He's become a billionaire, I think, many times over. So these aspects really do affect you, and we can see potentialities and possibilities as to how it's going to play out. So the more that you can know about your astrology, the more empowered you are to use it in a constructive way. And what's going to be important is coming together now and our connections together. The more that we connect together, the more that we create this supportive feeling of family and home, and that you belong, no matter how quirky you are, no matter how peculiar you are, you have a home in this soul family. And that we begin to find these connections. And this is what we're moving towards. The highest expression of you as a human being within the context of the big world family. So I really want to thank you. Lovely Lucy. Thank you, Drew, for being here too. I'm so grateful for you joining me on these live streams. It's always a pleasure. Thank you to those of you who support the channel on Patreon, and just thank you for your comments, for your feedback, and may this be an uplifting and positive year for all of us, where we connect more and these ideas that we have just blossom and the creativity begins to flourish. From my heart to yours, much, much, much love.